And now, from the great state of Mississauga in Ontario, Canada, it's the Ted Wallachin Podcast. Brought to you by Tom's Place. For the finest in men's fashion, Tom's Place will suit you. And ETP Canada, providing estate administration with ease. ETP Canada. And now, here's Ted.
Thank you so much, Becky, and welcome everybody to another episode of the Ted Wallachin Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and thrilled to have on this week's episode an old friend of mine. We've known each other for decades and decades. He is an established stand-up comic, an actor, a presenter, instructor. He does all kinds of great stuff. And Evan Carter, it's great to have you. How are you?
Hey, great, man. It's really great to be on the show and to get a chance to talk to you. We don't get a chance to see or talk to each other, so this is fantastic.
I know it's been a while, indeed. I was thinking back how long I've known you. I guess it was back when did we first meet? Was it the original Yuck Yucks days on Church Street? Back at
It
519 Church.
was 70. It would have been about April of 77.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, people don't know that Yuck Yucks is a chain now across the country, I guess. But it originally started off in Toronto once a week on a Wednesday night at the basement of the 519 Church Street Community Center. And there was about 7 or 8 of us, I guess, originally started there. And then everything just expanded big time.
Well, it was interesting. Our connection and our friendship started when I went on for my first time there. I was the neophyte. I was the new kid, and when I came off stage, you threw me into a headlock and said,
"Did I really?"
And said, "Okay, great competition," and then you let me out of the headlock, and we've been friends ever since. So I don't know what that says, but that was it. Yeah, you just and I want to explain to the folks out there that Ted, what are you, about 6'7"?
No, 6. I used to be 6'4". I'm probably about just over 6'3" now. I'm starting to go. My body's starting to go south.
Oh, okay, gravity.
That's it.
And I'm also in that range of about 6'4".
Yeah.
So you've got these two guys. One guy throwing is the other guy into a headlock and welcoming me to the fold.
Yeah, it's a strange way to welcome somebody, isn't it?
Yeah. And the fact that I'm still doing it tells you a lot about my self-esteem.
Yeah. So, now, what is it that got you interested in trying to take a shot at becoming a comedian professionally?
Well, I came up at that time of history when Ed Sullivan was on, and every Sunday, everybody would be around television watching Ed Sullivan, and Ed always had a comic on.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic, and then that was also the beginning of comedy albums.
Yeah.
And so everybody went out and bought a comedy album, and I still have some of the albums that my parents bought back in the late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah.
Like I've got a vinyl copy of The Button Down Mind of
Bob Newhart.
Bob Newhart. Not Bob Newhart.
Yeah,
it was Bob Newhart. Bob Newhart. And that was like the first million selling, I believe, album out there. So, and I've got a lot of albums that Cosby did, Flip Wilson did. So a lot of those eras, Mom's Mabley, I've got albums. So they always bought those albums and always played them, when relatives came over. So I was always hearing, and I thought this is an incredible art form, and I always enjoyed watching the comics.
Yeah.
And I kind of focused on the comics when they came on. And then when I got older, of course, I could stay up and watch Johnny Carson, and you got to see more comics. So that's where it came from. Just the admiration of just watching these individuals on stage and just thinking, wow, this is.
Well, it's interesting because
really
I remember,
fantastic.
Watching your career as it grew and you grew as a comedian, and you got a lot of really great reviews. And at one point, somebody had expressed in the highest form of flattery referring to you, being a young black man, as the young Bill Cosby. Now,
Yeah.
that's not a moniker that you want to carry with you right now for obvious
Oh no,
reasons.
it was taken off the website. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. But back then, I mean, Cosby was a master at what he did. I mean, what he did in his personal life was just, inexcusable. But as a stand up comedian, I mean, I saw him a number of times live. I mean, I remember seeing him one time at the O'Keefe Center, back when it was at the O'Keefe Center. He came out and he did
Okay.
like 25, 30 minutes. And then he took a break and he said, okay, I'll be back in 15 minutes. So essentially, he was his own opening act. And he
Yeah.
did like 25, 30 minutes, took a break for 15, and then came back and did another hour and a half or whatever. I mean, he was
Yeah.
unbelievable. He
Yeah.
was
It
that
was just
good.
something. And did he have the cigar going?
And the second half he did,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if I memory serves me correct, that I heard that he would use the cigar almost like a timer, like when the cigar was finished. Um, the show was finished, and that usually lasted, like you say, about an hour and a half.
Yeah. That's amazing. When you think about it, when you and I first started out doing stand up, you'd want to get, you actually give you like 5, 7 minutes or something like that. And then when you were a
Yeah.
feature, they give you up to 15 minutes. And I remember the
Yes.
first time being a feature, thinking to myself, how am I going to memorize 15 minutes?
Yeah.
You know what I
How
mean?
am I going to fill this time?
Yeah, like 15 minutes. I got to do it all without notes and everything else. And now, of course, it's like, you got over how many years you've been doing stand up. I don't do it anymore, but the amount of material that you've written over the years, I mean, it's hours and hours and hours. And speaking of which,
Yeah.
you have an album coming out or just released?
Just released. It's called "You Speak So Well," and it's on the Howl and Roar label. And so far, so good. And I'm knocking on wood that it keeps going well and getting a lot of airplay on Sirius XM and you know all the streaming services. So yeah, that was fun to do. But it was one of those things that um, I just said, just quit beating around the bush and put out the album. So I talked to Allison Dorr, who runs the label, and she said, yeah, that would be great. So we put our heads together and picked out material, and off we went.
And where did you record it?
It was recorded at the Absolute Comedy Club in Ottawa. And as a matter of fact, I just got back from there yesterday after doing. Even my wife shook. She said, "How many shows did you do?" I said, "I did 20 shows in 14 days."
Wow.
And each set was, you're looking at 40-minute sets, so it was 800 minutes of on stage over the 2 weeks, and that was quite a bit. But that's where we recorded it, and it's a great club. The crowds are always a lot of fun, and we're very happy with the way it turned out.
Yeah, 65 years old, and I thought, well, this is something. Yeah, I'm. You know what? I'm having a blast. I'm having the most fun I've ever had in my life. I'm enjoying it. I get to the gym 3-4 times a year, and it's a special program. I go into the gym, I hurt myself, and then I'm in physio for 4 months, and then I go back into the gym, hurt another part of my body, and then back to physio, and then back in the gym. You see the cycle going on here. It's a special program. It's called God, You're Pathetic. And I recommend it. Eat whatever you want. Eat whatever you want when you go in there. But every once in a while, my body tells me that I'm 65 years old. Like yesterday, I hurt myself. I was just turning around. I wasn't carrying anything. It wasn't windy. Somebody went, "Hey, Ev," and I went, oh, that's not good. That is not good.
The thing is, and comedians will say this sometimes when they have a bad set or a bad night, and they'll say, man, the crowd just wasn't there. And it's true. And I can say that as somebody who used to do stand up and as somebody who's witnessed stand up comedians, where you think to yourself, this guy is a lot funnier than the audience is reacting to him. And sometimes the crowd is just not there for whatever reason. It's hard to explain to people, but sometimes the vibe just isn't there. Sometimes it's the room itself. Physically, the room doesn't
Mhm.
work. And I'm sure you've worked in those kinds of places where it's really a restaurant and they move a bunch of tables and they put a riser up for one night and say, "Okay, here you go ahead, make people laugh." And usually that doesn't work because it's not set up for
No.
comedy.
And sometimes they've got the stage at one end of the room, and then in the middle of the room is where like either the bar is, and then the seats are around the bar,
Yeah.
or I remember opening up for the Temptations, and I was on stage, and then between me and the audience was this huge dance floor,
Oh, great.
and which I call the swimming pool of death. And I
Yeah,
said to
exactly.
the yeah, I said to the organizers, do you mind if I do it from the dance floor? And they said, no, we want the audience to see you. I said, I'm 6'4".
Yeah.
Chances are, no, we want you to do it from the stage. So uh, you do it from the stage, and really roll the dice on that one. But you're absolutely right. Sometimes there are some rooms, and people just think, oh, we can just stick a comic anywhere, and it'll work. And you go, no, it's got to be set up properly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've done that as well. We're literally, it's you and 30 feet of empty floor before the first row of audience, and you're thinking, how am I going to connect with these people when I'm so far away?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I remember some of the spots that we used to play where we'd have to bring our own amps
Yeah.
and mics and speakers, and then we'd haul it into some bar in God knows what town, and put it all there, and it generally worked. But there were sometimes they looked at us like we've never, when are they going? When are they going to bring out their instruments? Or B, why aren't there strippers?
Yeah, exactly. Did you ever work with strippers?
Yeah, and uh, that was through uh, either Gary David, who was a long past mutual friend of
Yep.
ours,
Very funny
or
man.
Frenchie McFarlane,
Yep.
who is still out there knocking around. And yeah, that was at Starvin' Marvin's in the Victory Burlesque.
Yeah, I worked at Starvin' Marvin's. It was the first place I got paid. Remember my dad finding out and he's saying, you have two choices: change your name or move out of the house. And then I told them how much I was making because they were paying really good money back then. And all you
Yes,
did was, and back then they weren't licensed, these places, right? So guys would come in and normally you'd get like the weekend shift in the afternoon, right? Like from 12 to 4 or
right,
whatever,
yeah.
right? Where guys come in, they can't speak English and they're sitting there and by themselves. It's You're doing bad John Wayne impressions and stuff, and it's just you got to kill 45
and
minutes.
and you know what? Even if you did a good John Wayne impression, it didn't
No,
really.
because they didn't know what the hell you're doing, right? What was he doing? What is
No.
that? Yeah, that's very, very bizarre.
Once I got a job, I had to do 20 minutes during Miss Nude Canada, and it was at one of the clubs out by the airport in Toronto, and I was there at the finals, and I was supposed to go on after. And this is what it was called, the Nude Parade of Stars, and and I was supposed to go on at 20 to 11, and this was the finals. And these guys had been there um, since noon.
Oh God.
So now, yeah, so now they say, okay, you're going on at 20 to 11, just before the nude parade of stars, and then the finals go on after you. So as things run clockwise, I don't get on till quarter to one. I don't get on to quarter to one. They give me the mic, which like the sound system was terrible because it was fine for playing the music for the participants, but for anybody speaking through it, it was just awful. So now it's 20-1. It's just horrible. I die a death. Um, just and Ted, you've been on stage when you're just, it's just nothing you can do. They're yelling at you, things are going on, and you say goodnight, and they don't applaud. It's just something like, finally. That's all. Like, that's what you finally. And I just left, walked through all these naked women. And as it happened, I had parked my car right at the bottom of the back steps. I just went straight through, straight through the door, out the back steps, down into my car. I drove away. And when I called the agent the next day, as soon as he heard my voice, he just started laughing. And I thought, why did you send me into this pit of hell? But it's just part of the stories of what we do, especially at the beginning of our careers.
And in many cases, you're not making a lot of money either, which is the
No.
honest part of it, right? It's a little different as you move up the ladder. But you were going to mention it. You mentioned that you opened for the Temptations. You opened for a lot of great acts, including one of my favorites, Gladys Knight. Tell me what that was like.
Yeah. That was fantastic. And once again, I'm going to tip my hat to you, Ted, because you were the one who got me started in opening up for musical acts. If you remember this, you were doing the mornings with Ron Burchell at Q107. The Elma Combo was looking for an opening act for Carolyn Moss. She was a rock and roller out of New Jersey. You phoned me up and said, are you able to open up for this rocker? I said, what does she sound like? And those were the days that you could just put on a record. And you did. You played it over the air, and I thought, yeah, okay. And that started me with a long run at the Elma Combo and got me into bigger shows doing Gladys Knight. And I got a chance to open up for Gladys for two shows. One, it was a huge bar out in the Kitchener Guelph area that was once a Zeller's, I think it was. And so that was the first night. And then the second night, it was at Roy Thompson Hall.
Wow.
And she was absolutely amazing. And not only to speak with her, but also to perform in front of her audience, who was the audience was excellent. But just listening to her talk to her management, talk to her background singers, it really had taught me a lot about the business. And I remember she was standing ramrod straight. Michael Williams, remember Michael Williams from? He was a VJ
at Much Music, yeah.
Much Music, yeah. He was introducing her, and she was ramrod straight, and her manager was like barking in her ear about something that had nothing to do with anything. And without moving her head, she just said, "We have a show to do." And he immediately stopped talking. and and I thought, you know what? That's it. That's the whole thing. We have a show to do. So whatever anybody else is introducing to the platform, it doesn't matter at this time, because there's X number of people out there who have paid good money and want to see a show. That's what I'm focused on, and that's something that I have attempted to do. And this was close to 40 years ago when I opened for, and because it just makes a big difference, and you just sort of lock in and you say, I have a show to do, and you give everything that you have to the audience. And that's what Gladys Knight taught me.
Ted Woloshyn returns in a moment.
Attention all men, Black Friday has been extended You still have time to restock your wardrobe. Hey, it's Ted Wallish in for Tom's Place. It's always important to dress for success, and we have you covered from business casual to sports jackets to suits. Incredible deals starting now on lips and shirts, regularly up to $225 each for only $60. S. Cone and other designer suits, regularly up to $650, slashed to $350, or an amazing 2 for $600. Plus, a huge selection of sports jackets, valued at up to $695, now 50% off. On the second floor, we're also slashing prices on suits, sports jackets, dress shirts, and pants. Check out our website, toms-place.com, for details and more great deals. Tom's Place Black Friday sale in the heart of Kensington Market, 190 Baldwin. That's where you'll find Tom's Place, where will suit you. Have you been tasked with the role of a state executor, or expected maybe in the future you will be? Well, if so, let me make your life a lot simpler by introducing you to my friend Debbie Stanley. Debbie is the founder of ETP Canada. They specialize in estate administration. Their goal simply is to help Canadian executors understand their role and how to deal with the loved one's estate. Let's face it, there's no school for this, but ETP Canada offers services such as executor support, estate accounting, and they have a new online course called Executor Ready. It's an engaging video designed to make estate administration easier and affordable. And those are two comforting thoughts during a stressful time. So call Debbie Stanley at 1-866-309-0387. That's 1-866-309-0387. Or you can get her at info@etpcanada.ca. That's info@etpcanada.ca.
I was walking around here today, and I got to go in a store that I love. I love these stores wherever I go throughout the world. I look for them. I shop at them. Small Asian grocery stores. I love them. I just really like them, and so I went in one today. It was wonderful. Got some fruit and vegetables, and it was great. You open up that door, and that smell hits you, and you go, well, something died in here last night. Let's go shopping. And I go right to the seafood section, immediately to see what the heck is in those tanks, because the tanks are never clean. They're never clean, and there's so much algae in them that if you put it in an algae eater, the algae eater goes, what, are you trying to make me a diabetic? What the heck is this? I can't eat this.
Now back to Ted and his guest.
Now, do you have any of the people that you've worked for? I mean, have any of them had any sort of quirky requests for you, or rules that you had to abide by, like don't do jokes about this and don't swear, or don't, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's got. I mean, they also have a certain time limit, obviously, right? They don't let you just go on for half an hour.
Yeah. The time limit is usually 15 to 20 minutes that I get asked to do when opening up for someone like that in a big theater. As far as requirements, nothing asked of me, but sometimes I was opening up for Dionne Warwick in Montreal, and this was back in the early 80s. And it was one of those shows that it was $50, and now this was like 82, $50 for a ticket was huge, but it was all you could drink.
Oh, great. Her
requirements were that you could not order drinks while she was on, which meant it was all happening while I was on.
Yeah.
And the people in about the first 10 rows weren't allowed to smoke. You've just told a room full of people in Montreal that they can't smoke.
Yeah.
And they were not pleased.
No, I guess not.
But as far as what I have been asked of me, nothing really, because I think by the time I got to them, I had sort of been vetted by management. When I opened up for Marvin Gaye, which was at the CNE, that was through the same agency that put me through the Alma Combo a number of times. So they had seen me open up for Midnight Oil or John Cougar or Peter Tork of he was from the Monkees,
Yep.
or Nona Hendrix, who was from Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells. So by the time I got to open up for Marvin Gaye or Fats Domino or the Shirelles, Gladys Knight, Air Supply, um, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, I had already sort of been vetted, and it was just like, okay, he's not going to go sideways on us. And but it was once again a time thing. I would always be reminded of the time, and just okay, we want you to do 20 minutes, not 21, not 19. And you go, okay, off you go.
Yeah. And that's not an easy thing to do, because sometimes, again, going back to the audience reaction, the audience will either speed up or slow down your delivery. If an audience is moving at the same pace as you are, things tend to really just fly. But if an
Yeah.
audience is a little more laid back, a little less reactionary, it tends to slow things down. So now what you think is going to be 20 minutes is going to drag out to 23 or 24 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's and also not only the audience, as you so correctly noted, uh, if they're with you, or if you have to pull them along, or if they're pulling you along, but also the room. I learned with bigger rooms, like opening up for Marvin Gaye, or I did part of the opening ceremonies at the 2015 Pan Am Games, so I was inside the Rogers Center, and you got to wait for the sound to travel to the back of the
Yeah.
room. And then once you've sort of gauged that, so everything gets slowed down so that the sound can travel to the back, and then you can make your move.
You also are an instructor. I found this quite fascinating, because when you think about it, it's like, how do you teach somebody to be funny? And of course, the answer is you can't really teach somebody to be funny. People are either funny or they're not funny, but you can teach them how to utilize their funny, how to polish it, and how to make it work better.
Yeah.
But you can't
Oh,
take somebody
absolutely.
who's not funny and make them funny.
No, you can't. And people will often say to me, "How are you going to make me? I'm not funny. How can you make me funny?" And I'll always just say, "No, I can't make you funny. I can make you funnier than you are now. But but I can't make you funny. There's always something in everybody that allows for that little sense of humor, and you can get it out." So when I started working at Second City as part of the stand up program, that was already there, and then it expanded to Chicago and then Los Angeles, because they found that it did so well in Toronto, that you would get people coming in from all walks of life and at all stages of
Yeah.
life, and you would just work with them to get just a little bit more of the funny out of their material, and you would say, okay, try it this way, try it that way, or do it this way, do it that way. There you go. And they were always amazed. And what I also found out was that quite often, people would get the course as a gift, and it would be given by someone who didn't think that the individual was funny. And they would come in, you go, why are you here? Oh, because my uh, husband or my wife or my mother or my father gave me this gift because they don't think I'm funny. And I go, well, we're gonna prove them wrong. And it was really quite
Yeah.
amazing. And just very quickly, when I got a chance to do some instructing over in Qatar, um, as far as public speaking, and so you've got a Muslim society and I had people in the course just go, no, we we don't tell jokes in our culture. And I'm going, well, that just doesn't make any sense, because as far as I know, there is humor in every culture. And then once I showed them how it could be done, and done tastefully, then they bought into the program.
And that's another thing we should point out as well, is you work clean, which is a more difficult thing to do than people might imagine. Because today there's a lot of comedians who, if it wasn't for the F-bomb, they would, about a third of their show would be off to the side somewhere.
Yeah, they wouldn't have a punchline.
That's right,
yeah.
Exactly. So that's what are you doing? Anything coming up in the future? People can come go see you. Any plans?
Well, there's a show that I MC and narrate called The Legends of Motown, and that is coming up. Let's see, Saturday we will be at the Performing Arts Center in Burlington, and then the following Saturday we will be at Centennial Hall in London, and then on the 22nd we will be at the Living Arts Center in Mississauga, and between that I will be doing 'tis the season, so it'll be a lot of corporate Christmas parties. So that's where I'll be. But just look for me. You go to evancarter.com and find it, or you can listen to the album on any of the streaming services, or you can buy the album. Darn it!
Here's a Christmas gift idea right there.
There you go, right there on any of the services. So I'm out and about, and I'm always posting stuff, either on Facebook, and I know that's for the old guys, and that's exactly where I am, or X, formerly known as Twitter.
And newfangled gadgets just throw me off. I just, like low flow toilets. I just cannot get used to. We've all used low flow toilets. We understand what they do for the environment and everything like that. But they're no good. You the low flow toilet, and you just have to be and the water doesn't even move. And you go into somebody else's house, and they got a low flow toilet, and you're in there a while because you're just flushing constantly, and people are just are you okay? That's what they ask now when you're 65. When you were like 15, they're going, get out of the bathroom. But now they're going, are you okay? Is there somebody we should call? Just put your medic alert bracelet under the door.
Good stuff. It's great chatting with you, my friend, and I wish you all the best, and we'll hope to have you back on soon.
Hey, always a pleasure, Ted. You take care.
All right, that'll do it for us for this week. That's Evan Carter. Don't forget, go online, www.tedwalliston.ca, and drop us your comments and your thoughts. And while you're online, don't forget to fill out your organ and tissue donation card. You could change or even save a life. In the meantime, have a great week.
The Ted Wallachin Podcast has been brought to you by ETP Canada, providing estate administration with ease. And Tom's Place, for the finest in men's clothing at unbeatable prices. It's Tom's Place at 190 Baldwin in the heart of Kensington Market. Tom's Place will suit you. The Ted Wallachin Podcast is produced by Becky Coles. That's me. Technical production by Paul Gatt. Music by Bike Thieves. To talk to Ted and for more information on his podcast and our sponsors, go to www.tedwallishin.ca.